So I'm ready to share. I'm ready to talk about it. I'm ready to tell my story. But I'm telling my story with accountability. This is more about accountability than it is about smearing the other person about what they did and how wrong they were. Yes, that's true as well. But this particular video is about the consequences of disobedience. So I got married in 2018, and that marriage was very short-lived, as it should have been, because it should have never happened. If I could just be frank, it should have never happened. And the reason why it should have never happened is because God told me not to marry that man. And I want to share the consequences of disobedience, okay? So let's go back a little bit. I want to give you guys a brief little rundown on how we met. I'm not going to drag this video out. I really just kind of want to get to it. So I knew him through work. We worked for the same company. We did not work the same shifts. We worked different shifts. So I was familiar with who he was. But again, we didn't work the same shifts. We never had any real conversations or anything like that. There was a mutual coworker that he passed along a message to her that, to tell me that he was interested in me. And so she came and passed the message along. And when she came and told me, so-and-so is interested in you, I immediately was not interested for a number of reasons. Number one, I just wasn't attracted to him. Number two, he's 5 years younger than me. And I felt like at that time he was very immature. He really acted his age, or probably a little younger. And so it was just like that. And I just wasn't attracted to him. Like I said, I had seen him, I knew of him, but I never was interested in him or anything. So there was some type of event that was taking place in the city, and he was going, and our mutual was going as well. And so she invited me to go with her, and he was there. And that's where he kind of approached me, and we started talking. And again, I still didn't feel an attraction for him, but I kind of went along with it. We ended up talking that night or whatever. It was cool. Just conversation was cool again, but I wasn't interested in him in a romantic way. And so we danced a little that night. For me, again, I wasn't interested in anything romantic. I was just having fun, being social. So then I think a couple weeks later, I seen him at work, and he asked me for my phone number. At first, I kind of was just like, I wasn't really feeling the whole idea of giving him my number, but I ended up obliging him, gave him my number. Kind of from there, we started hanging out. We would go out a lot. And this, I will say, I really had a good time with him. I really enjoyed being his friend, right? And I always said that we had a lot of fun together. Like, he was really cool, but the romantic dynamic just never kicked in for me. I didn't feel that way about him. I knew that he felt that way about me. And I was always very transparent with him that, hey, I like you as a friend. I have a lot of fun when we go out. We hanging out, we kicking it. It's cool. But I just wasn't into him romantically. And I was always very transparent with him about that. I even encouraged him to date someone else. I was like, hey, so-and-so, if, she more into you, why don't you go holler at her? It was like that. So, but he was very adamant in pursuing me and letting me know no, I'm really into you. I really want you. And isn't it crazy how it's always the ones that chase you down that persist, and they end up not being and it's what was this? What was, you just had to prove something to yourself? Did you have to just, cause you didn't have to be here. I made it clear multiple times that I think we should just be friends, and you wanted something serious. But anywho, let me get back to the point. So fast forward, we started hanging out more and more and more. Now we're coming up on a year of us hanging out. And, by this time there had been a level of intimacy, I guess. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. And this is where I said, I'm taking accountability. Don't judge me. This is all a learning lesson. Okay. I was still not really into him, but I found myself trying to just be open to it because throughout that year, he was such a nice guy. He came off as like the nice, good guy. Okay. Boy, was he a wolf in sheep clothing, but let's hold that for later. So he came across as the nice guy. And so I was just like, wow, like he's so generous. He's so kind. I have so much fun with him. You know, why am I like rejecting him? But with that being said, when he came into my life, there was also a lot of warning signs that came with him. This man came in, number one, he disrupted my peace. Before I met him, I had just moved into a new apartment. I was like in such a like place of like euphoria. I had finally like got my new place, and I was just like settling into that new place. And I had so much peace that I had really needed because I had like a rough year prior to. And when this man came into my life, he just came in just with a lot of drama, a lot of mess, just brought a lot of chaos into my life. So that was like the first warning sign, the first red flag. That was the first stop sign. That was the first you need to get out and detour, and I didn't. And that's why I said this video is about me taking accountability because all the signs were there, all the red flags were there, and I continued to go. There were so many warning signs, so many red flags. And I'm talking about even during the friendship phase. Like we were just friends. I wasn't even trying to date him, but it was just stuff happening, which was, again, God's way of saying, you need to leave this man alone. Like the boat is rocking too much. Like he's come in and caused so much chaos in your life. Probably like by month 3 of us being friends, we kind of started, I tried to start opening up to him because as I was saying before, I was feeling like, okay, he's generous, he's kind, he's doing things for me. He's really like doing all the things to like really try to like, woo me. And I wouldn't even say it was love bombing. Well, you know what? It might have been a little bit of love bombing now that I think about it. It might have been a little bit of love bombing. We didn't have that verbiage 12 years ago, but I think it was a little bit of love bombing, probably a lot of it. But for whatever reason, I rationalized in my mind, like maybe I need to just give this a try. Like, girl, just give it a try. What can it hurt? Just see how it works. So by month 10, we decided that we was going to try to be in a committed relationship. It was all right, let's see where this go. Whew. Lord Jesus, why did I do that? So we got into this committed relationship, whatever that. I think I was the only one committed, whatever. So about 2 years from the time we get into this committed relationship, we decide to relocate together. Okay. I'm going to kind of like speed this forward a little bit. So we finally get into a committed relationship. From the time we decided to get in a serious relationship, which was about 10 months after our friendship started. Then 2 years later, so then 2 years later, we decided to relocate and we moved to a different state. We moved to South Carolina because we were in upstate New York. During that 2-year span, again, there was just so many red flags with this man. There was so much happening. I mean, the flags, the stop signs, the caution signs, the road, the dead end signs, the detour sign. I'm talking about, baby, all the signs that this man was not the man for me were there. Okay. Again, I'm here to take accountability. This was on me. All the signs were there because the signs are always there. If we just open our eyes and we pay attention, the signs are there. So there were signs that he was a cheater. There were signs of him being a liar. There were signs that this man wasn't a protector. There was just so many different signs. Okay. And somehow now I'm relocating to another state with this man. So I relocate to another state with him. And I will say this, when we left upstate New York, our quality of life improved tremendously. Like we literally just had the overall better quality of life. Like we needed that move, so I don't regret that. But we moved to South Carolina and that was in 2016. By 2017, he proposed to me. Okay. So now this is where the meat and potatoes are. Cause like I said, I want to kind of speed this up. So 2017, I think it was, I don't know if it was March. It was somewhere between March and May of 2017. I honestly don't remember. It's all a blur because like none of it really matters at this point. Like it really doesn't. So just to give a little context about me, God speaks to me through dreams. Mostly, if God wants me to know something, if God is guiding me to something or away from something, whatever it is, it's always going to come to me in a dream, always. Okay. So the day before the proposal, I had a dream. God gave me a dream that he's going to propose to you. He showed me the exact location. I remember in the dream, it showed me that it was like dark out. I remember it showed me that we were outside. I remember the dream showed me how I was going to feel. I remember the dream showed me that I didn't like the ring that he proposed to me. The dream was so like detailed. It showed me everything. But the most important part of the dream is that in the dream, the voice of God said, say no. Say no. It said it twice. Twice. Say no. Say no. So I woke up from that dream and I'm like, whew. Now, mind you, the morning that I wake up from this dream, the proposal is the next day. So I had this dream that night. Yeah, the day before the proposal. So I wake up, the proposal was coming the next day. So I'm waking up and now I have to pretend like I don't know that this man I didn't know when he was going to propose to me. But when I woke up, I didn't know when he was going to propose to me. I just knew it was coming, right? And I really didn't think it was going to be as soon as the next day. Because usually when I have dreams and God shows me something, it could be months out. It could be a couple years out. But it's never like, oh, this is happening right away, you know? So I was kind of anticipating that it was going to be happening maybe in the next couple of months. No. I wake up that day from the dream and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Because again, he showed me that I didn't like the ring. I was able to feel my energy about the engagement. And I remember I just felt like heavy and uneasy about it. But most importantly, God told me to say no. God told me to say no, you know? So that day I get up and I'm just like, my anxiety is through the roof. And I'm just like, oh my God. That day he tells me, I need you to go get your nails done. And I was like, oh my God. So it's happening today. It's happening today. So now I'm thinking it's happening today. So I'm playing along. Oh, okay. Like, why? He's like, yeah, because I want us to go out tomorrow. I'm going to take us on a date tomorrow. Just go get your nails done. So I go get my nails done. And again, anxiety through the roof. The next day, he tells me that morning that we are going to Asheville, North Carolina. We're going to go visit the Biltmore Castle. I don't know if you know about Asheville and Biltmore. If you don't, look it up. It's very beautiful castle out there. They have a winery, all the things. And this man had a whole day planned for me, like a full itinerary. We went horseback riding. We went to the vineyard. We did wine tasting. We did a tour of the castle. Like, it was really a beautiful day. But the whole day, I'm like anticipating this proposal. And at the Biltmore, they have this really beautiful garden. And he brought all his camera stuff and his camera equipment so he could set up his camera. He had his tripod and all these things. And he wanted to propose to me in the garden. But he couldn't because the garden was full of bees. This was probably around the springtime. I don't remember for sure, but I remember it was very warm. It was pretty hot out that day. And the garden was full of bees. Like, people are able to walk through the garden, but we just physically could not because of how many bees were in the garden. So he was trying to like find a little spot where it wasn't so many bees. And I just remember thinking, because he's like, yeah, let's come out here. He was like trying to set up the camera and tell me to come out to the garden. It was such a beautiful garden, but just full of bees. And I just remember I was like, and I knew what he was trying to do. I knew that he was trying to set up the camera so I can come walk out in front of the camera, and he proposed to me in this beautiful garden. Garden was beautiful, it was. But I was scared, y'all. I was like, I'm not coming out there with all them bees. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not about to get stung by a bee for a proposal. Like, no. So I was just like, no, I don't think we should film out here. Again, I know what he's trying to do. So, he aborts that plan, and we, just continue on about our day. Like I said, we spent the whole day at the castle. We end up leaving the castle, going to like downtown Asheville to go eat. And mind you, by this time, it's nighttime. But remember what I said, the dream showed me that he was going to propose to me outside, and it was dark out. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm anticipating, okay, like there's another plan he obviously has in play, because it's going to be dark when he does this. So we eat at the restaurant. We leave the restaurant. We're just like walking around like downtown. I feel like it was downtown Asheville. I don't really know where we were, but it was like a lot of shops and like restaurants wherever we were. And everything is pretty much closing down because it's like really late. And we're just like walking around and just looking at all like the shops and stuff. And we come across like this really cute little vintage shop. And it was like just nobody on the street. It was only lit up by the street lights. It was very dark. And it had this little iron table and 2 chairs. And he was like, let's sit right here for a minute. Let's just sit and chill. So we sit down and we begin to talk. Da 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 da. Next thing you know, he says, oh, I want to show you something. And I was like, oh, okay. Mind you, this whole day, I have to play clueless. Like, I don't know what's happening here when I'm fully aware that this man is trying to propose to me. And God told me to say no. And so he says, I got to tell you something. And he gets on his knees. He gives this whole speech. He pulls out the ring. I look at the ring. I don't like the ring, just the way God showed me in the dream. And we both start crying. Mind you, I'm crying because mine was more like fear and anxiety, because I knew that and remember the dream showed me that I was uneasy. And so maybe that was the uneasy feeling because God had already told me to say no. And I'm not gonna lie, that was hard for me to do, but he gave me the instruction to say no. And so he's crying, I'm crying, and I go, yes, I'll marry you. I'm not going to say anymore I regret it, right? God, here's the thing. God knew I was going to say yes, but he had to still come in and tell me to say no, because he has to send warning. There is always warning before destruction. So he was still going to tell me, no, this is not my perfect will for you, but you're going to use your free will to do what you want to do. And I know you are, but I'm telling you it's a no. So that's what that was. God knew that I was going to say yes. He wasn't surprised at my yes, because he was like, I know this girl going to say yes, but I still got to tell her it's a no. It's a no coming from me. I said yes, y'all. And we called our parents, and our parents were on the phone happy for us, and we're taking pictures. And I have this heaviness, like I have a knot in my throat. Because I know I was supposed to say no to this man. I know I was supposed to say no to him, but I couldn't. And I was rational. I'm like, God, we just moved to a whole new state together. At this point, by the time he proposed to me, we had been together about 5 years in total. We have been living in a whole new state together. It was like, I couldn't say no. I just physically couldn't say no. In my mind, I rationalized that it just made sense that this is the person I'm supposed to marry. This is the person I've been with. This is the person I just moved 500 and something miles away from home and started a whole new life with. Who else am I supposed to marry if it's not him? Who, God? Who? And isn't that interesting how we really sometimes think we know what's best for us even more than God? And it wasn't even so much that and beyond me thinking that I knew what was best for me, what I really realized is that God truly knew what was down in that man's heart and who he really was. And that not only was he not good for himself, but he definitely wasn't good for me. Like God truly knew that man, the depths of his heart and what he was dealing with and who he really was. Because honey, I wasn't even prepared to learn who that man really was. Okay. But God knew, and he was trying to create a way of escape for me. As cliche as it sounds, rejection is protection a lot of times. And God came to me in a dream and told me to reject that man's proposal in order to protect myself. Okay. And I rejected the rejection. You know what I mean? Crazy. We're now engaged. We drive back home. As we're driving back home, because we're about, I think Asheville is about, I don't know, maybe 2.5 hours away from us. So we have a long ride back home. And, we're talking and stuff. But again, it wasn't even like this joyful, ecstatic moment. Like it just didn't feel like that. Again, all of it just felt, I don't know. But, we took pictures. I did the whole posting my pictures on social media. I'm engaged. Da, 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 da. This is why you got to be careful about what you see on social media, other people posting and getting caught up in what they got, because we really never know what somebody dealing with. I just like looking back, I remember posting those engagement photos and, people probably thought like, oh my God, this is her mom. And really, I was so heavy. God had just told me the night before, no, say no, say no. And, so anywho, so we get back home and we begin to plan our wedding. And we're planning this wedding, and we are planning to get married the following year, September of 2018. And during that 1 year engagement, y'all, again, there was so many signs, so many warning signs. And I'll never forget, there was one more moment where God created a way of escape, where I caught him in a lie. Like I caught him actively lying to me about something. And I'll never forget, God said, you need to call off this engagement. It was just heavy and strong like that. You need to call off this engagement. And the reason why I didn't, and the reason why I rationalized that away, and the reason why I was disobedient, basically, it was just, I was in full disobedience. Everything God was telling me to do, I was like, nope, we're going to do this my way, God. We're going to do this my way. And listen, I suffered the consequences for it too. So don't be me. But I remember rationalizing that away because we were 2 months away from the wedding. Everybody, literally 90% of our guests were traveling in. We pretty much have just a couple family members here, literally. Everybody else had to travel in. So people have already been making accommodations and paying for stuff, and have at this point, we have either deposits or stuff paid off. I have my wedding dress already paid for. There was so much money at stake. And I just could not walk away from all of that. I wouldn't walk away from it. And I just remember thinking no, I can't just call off. This is 2 months before the wedding. I can't. We'll be fine. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. We're going to be fine. Once we get married, everything will be fine. Because that's what we like to think. Marriage is only going to maximize everything you've already been dealing with. If you come into that marriage with a bunch of baggage and all kind of stuff and junk, and you haven't dealt with that stuff, it's all going to blow up during the marriage. It's only going to become worse in the marriage. It's not going to get better. Marriage is not a cure for your internal demons and wounds and trauma. It is not. It is going to maximize those things if you do not deal with them. And so my little ignorant self thought that we were going to get married and everything was just going to go away and we were going to be fine. We're going to be fine. We go on with the wedding. We went on our honeymoon to Aruba. And I remember even on that honeymoon, Aruba was so beautiful. And I remember I felt so disconnected from this man. It felt like I was on a trip with my homeboy. I just remember feeling the most disconnected from him. It didn't even feel like he was my husband. And I knew on that honeymoon, oh my gosh, I messed up. On the honeymoon, I was like, ooh, I think I messed up. But now we're married. We got to see it through. So I'm not going to go, annul the marriage either, right? Because I've come this far. I'm a fighter. I'm going to stick it through. Yeah, I was a goofy. I was in my bird era too, if I can be honest. From the moment I married this man all the way through the time I had my son. So I'm going to tell you what happened about 2 to 3 days after we had our son. And that was a year and a half later. There was such a disconnect between him and I. It was like once we got married, things got worse. Because as I said, marriage does not cure anything. Marriage only maximizes your problems. Marriage only maximizes your issues, and all the things that you tried to bury and cover up, it's not going to go away through marriage. So I just remember things just got really uncomfortable between him and I. There was just no connection. I struggled with intimacy with him. That was a struggle for me. And I couldn't understand why. Like, I just hadn't, everything was just completely disconnected. Okay. And fast forward a year and a half later, we have just given birth to our son. And we are heading to his first doctor's appointment. He's literally 2 days old. And I'm in the back seat with the baby. He's in the front driving. And I just remember nothing happened that day. Nothing out of the normal. We had a regular day. And I'm in the back seat with the baby. And I look at him and I just break down and start crying. I'm talking about I'm bawling, crying. But I'm silently crying. He doesn't know that I'm crying. I'm holding it in, but there's tears pouring down my eyes. But I would not outwardly make any noise. I did not want him to know I was crying. And I just was looking at him, and I just had this strong inner knowing, feeling, this is not my husband. This man, that's all that kept coming over me. This is not my husband. Mind you, I have a 2-day-old baby with this man at this point. And I was just looking at him. And at that point, he looked like a complete stranger. When I tell you, this moment for me was something I don't know what this awakening, what this pivotal moment was, but something in me just like the veil just came off. And it was like I finally seen him for who he wasn't. And he wasn't my husband, And I was just like, oh my God, he's not my husband. This is not my husband. And I never said nothing to him. And I kind of got myself together by the time we got to the doctor's office. So he never even knew I was in the backseat crying, or he never knew about this moment that I experienced. And y'all, from that moment forward, it was like things got even worse. Okay. Mind you, this is in 2020. Our son was born March of 2020. So this is in 2020. March of 2020. By March of 2023, 3 years later, I'm still in this marriage 3 years later after having this realization that this man is not my husband. Mind you, I have a infant child. We went into lockdown 2 weeks later. People are dropping like flies all around the world. I am actively now dealing with postpartum, and I'm terrified. And I'm a stay-at-home mom at this point now. So when I tell y'all, I just felt stuck. I felt like I have nowhere to go. I have to stick this out. I got to suffer through. I got to stay in this. But I did not want to be with him. And another thing, throughout the years, I knew that he was up to no good, but I could never prove it. I was always having dreams. God was always showing me in dreams. But that's a story for a different day. But I can never prove anything, but I knew it. As a woman, we know. I knew he was up to no good. And so was from that moment for 3 more years. Now I'm just like in it, just going through the motions. But the dynamic between him and I is just, we're not functioning as husband and wife. We are functioning as roommates, essentially. Like, I don't like him. I'm not attracted to him. It's something about his energy that's just dark to me. And again, God has given me these dreams showing me that he's doing things, cheating. Let's just call it that. He's dealing with other women. I'm seeing this in dreams. And I know it's happening, but again, I can't prove it. And I didn't say nothing to him for a while. I think it was a moment too where I didn't even care, because I just was like, I don't even like this man. Like, I never liked him for real. Like, I just, and so again, accountability. By March of 2023 is when everything hit the fan and all this stuff started to come out, y'all. January of 2023, God told me to fast. God told me to fast. I went on a 3-day fast. I never forget, it was from Friday to Sunday. During that fast, I think I only drank water, no food. And probably a few days after I came off of that fast, God said, He's going to confess to you. And then I remember the day before He confessed, God told me a woman that I felt like He slept with, God, mind you, this had happened. This was a situation that happened 2 years prior in 2021. But I never forget, God, it was out the blue. This is something that happened 2 years ago, y'all. God said He slept with that woman. It was just like all this confirmation started coming. So the next day, He confessed to sleeping with the woman. And from that point on, everything just started coming out. And when I tell y'all, the amount of shit that this man was into, like, he was literally a walking demon. I did not know who I was married to. Like, this was literally given, like, who the F did I marry? Some of the stuff I found out about this man made me sick to my stomach, like nauseous. Okay. Like, he's a very sick individual. Very sick individual. And when I tell you, it was so traumatic learning how demonic and dark he was and all of the that he was into. It was extremely traumatic. And I remember it took me a year from the point thing from 2023 to 2024. It took me a year to get to a point of accountability, because during that year I was blaming him. I was asking God, why? Because by this time, I totally forgot that God had given me a whole dream telling me not to marry the man. I was so, it was so much stuff coming out in 2023, like daily, y'all. I'm talking about, I spent all of 2023 unraveling who this man was and realizing this is not, whoa. All of 23 was nothing but this man's deepest, darkest secrets and skeletons just coming out. He had so much darkness attached to him. And I'll get into that on a different story time. But I had totally forgot that God gave me a whole dream telling me this man wasn't my husband. And I remember during 2023, I'm like, God, why would you do this to me? Why? And it wasn't until, this is when I knew I began to truly heal. Because I was no longer pointing fingers or shifting blame, but I finally was able to take accountability, because as I began to quiet my spirit and I began to like come down off of like the trauma of finding out who this man was, I began to hear the voice of God speak to me more. And God reminded me of the dream. God reminded me of all the warning signs that I seen very early on. God reminded me of every time He told me to walk away, and I said, no, God, I can't, because we just did. No, God, we got. So God had to remind me of that. And that was the moment where I truly started to heal, because it was no longer about what he did and who he was, but it was, oh, I did this to myself because I knew better. Not only did I know better, God came and told me directly, this is not for you. Walk away. God told me on more than one occasion to walk away from that man. Came to me in a whole dream, visited me in my sleep and told me no. And I still did it. And so I had to take accountability for betraying myself. Because a lot of times, it's easy to blame the other people, and it doesn't minimize who he was and the things he did. But what I had to realize is that I betrayed me long before this man betrayed me. I continued to betray myself by choosing a person who was showing me that he did not have the capacity to love me. He did not have the capacity to truly respect me, to commit, to honor me. He was showing me that from the door. Like I said, he came into my life and disrupted my peace. And I continued to make excuses for him. So I had to be accountable for betraying me. I betrayed me first. And then God came in and even said no. And then I was disobedient to God. And so the things that I endured, God never intended for me to go through. And I think that's what's important for us to understand, is that a lot of things that we go through, we really weren't meant to go through that. We really be putting ourselves through like trauma that was never meant for us to experience due to our egos. Because God kept, because while I kept telling that man about his ego and his pride and his this and that, like that's the ego within us too, where we won't let go of something that's not for us. Because why wouldn't I let go? What was my reason for not letting go? Did I not want him to be like, why? Why wouldn't I let go of him? Because the fact is, I wasn't even really attracted to him. I didn't even really see him in a romantic way for a long time. And so I had to identify the ego in me that would not release a man that God told me to release. I wouldn't release the man that, again, showed me exactly who he was, and he was no good for me. So I had to learn to truly take accountability for me making poor decisions for myself. And the moment I started to do that, that's when my true like healing, and that's when I really started to like have some peace of mind, as I just began to reflect on like how Tisha betrayed Tisha first. But everything I went through in that marriage, God never intended for me to go through it, because he made a way of escape for me more than once, more than twice. And I chose to use my free will to stay in a situation that God had already told me, this is not for you. Let me say something. God even sent prophets and prophetesses. I don't know if I say prophetesses. Am I saying it right? Though the men and women of God, he sent both of them to even tell me, this ain't for you. When I tell you he was trying to get me up out of there, for a year, I sat up just being in this victim state of mind. Why? But now when I really think about how hard God tried to get me out of there, I'm like, wow, God, you really love me. Thank you. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't listen. I'm so sorry, but thank you. Like when I really think about every time, it's giving me chills, y'all. There were so many times God was trying to get me away from this man because he knew. He was like, I don't want my daughter to go through this, but she's so hard-headed. He was sending people to tell me, this ain't the man for you. God said this ain't the man for you. I had dreams. There was everything. Everything that you can imagine, God did, God attempted, God sent, God spoke, God showed for me to walk away, and I did not. And that's truly the love of our Father. And so I'm so grateful. Like when I smile, and it's like, oh my God, God really loved me. Like he really did not want me to go through any of that. I put myself through that. And so to wrap this up, I don't know who this is for. I don't know who's going to come across this video, but if you are in a situation where, and this is for men and women, this could be any situation that can apply. But if you know you're somewhere where God is telling you to walk away from or let it go, please obey the voice of God. I promise you, all you're doing is delaying your trauma. You're delaying some consequences that's going to come down the line from being disobedient. Take it from me. Learn from my mistakes. Don't waste almost 12 years of your life being somewhere where God has been trying to set you free from, has been trying to release you from. Like I literally put myself in bondage. And it's kind of like the Israelites, if you really think about it, like just that bondage, scarcity state of mind that they had, where they didn't even like the idea of being free. God was trying to set me free, and I stayed in bondage, didn't want to let it go, knowing, seeing all the things that was wrong in that relationship. I hope that this resonates with at least one person. I am going to do some story times about, how everything unraveled and how that all took place. And, because I do want to continue to share my story on here. And I do want to inspire other men and women to just not make the same mistakes that I made. I think sometimes we are in such a rush to get married that we can be ready to marry anybody. And I think sometimes we as a society, we prioritize marriage so much, but we don't prioritize marrying the person that is actually meant for us. We got to start prioritizing marrying our divine counterparts, the person that is aligned and created for us to marry. Don't use your free will just to marry anybody for the sake of being married. Okay. But thank you so much if you made it this far, for watching. And if you're new here, please subscribe, like this video. And yeah, I will do another story time and share some more of this story with you guys. Until next time, bye.